Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I am one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, is the Jotun Toten, the Vault Dwelling, the Mayor of the Deepstone Crypt, my favorite co-host on the Citadel, and our very own podcasting disciple, Mr. Josh Finney.
Whew! It has been a busy week.
Yeah.
I hope you guys listened to the special episode that A1 Johnny and I did earlier in the week. We had a surprise Tuesday upload for y'all.
Well, judging by the numbers I sent you, people are listening.
Yeah. It went up a little bit later than we anticipated. We had hoped for Monday evening, but just by the time we got it recorded, there was no way it was going to post. So we had it up Tuesday afternoon. Very glad that we were able to get that banged out. Went a lot longer than we planned. I pitched it to him as a quick 45, 50 minute in and out. I think we took 80 or 90 minutes because at least a solid 30 to 40 minutes was spent with us geeking out over weapon rolls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be Johnny, right? I mean, I know he got that really good sword roll from Iron Banner. He was showing off.
Yeah. I'm excited to have John on. So next week, I think we mentioned on the last episode, and I definitely talked about in the special episode, we are going to take a break next week.
Yep.
We're going to take a
Tower Casual spring break.
Tower Casual spring break. I'll be on vacation. Corey will be getting ready to go on a business trip.
Yep.
And then we will return with an episode recorded on the 31st, posted on the 1st of April. It'll be me and A1 Johnny doing a huge weapons blowout, thoughts on crafting, things like that, especially in light of the TWAB today. We really want to have some time to sit down and, break. We haven't had a chance to talk about all that yet. We're going to break all that down. We may rope Nerd into being here with us. He was talking to me and was interested in coming in and giving his 2 cents. So we'll see how all that shakes out. That's the plan, though, is that we're going to do a huge weapons and crafting, honest thoughts about crafting blowouts on our next episode.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I will hopefully be raiding this weekend, so when I come back in 2 weeks, I guess,
yes,
I'll be able to talk about my experience. So
I'm excited. I'm excited to see what you think about it. I got my third clear last night with just the world's worst LFG.
Yeah,
holy shit!
I saw you guys all on while I was Iron Bannering by myself. I was like, oh, that looks fun.
We had made plans to me, Colonel Panic, their generalist, and made some plans to bang out a raid last night. We're like, we'll just grab an LFG. We'll bang it out real fast. My buddy Matt joined in with us. So we had four of the 6 day one team were there ready to go, and we got one really cool guy from New Zealand. Shout out to Willie. Willie, you're awesome. I know you'll never hear this, but it was really cool to play with you. And then we got this very annoying man-child in our group who just kept prefacing everything he said with the word imagine. And there was always an insult that came after that. And finally, second encounter, he was yelling at all of us so much, when he was the one screwing up, that we just had to give him the boot.
Mm-hmm.
Brought in another kid. Bless this child's soul. He's a pure soul. He clearly was a high schooler, not a squeaker, but was clearly a high schooler. Mom came in to get his request for breakfast in the morning.
Ooh.
And he had to leave us after the third encounter because it was bedtime.
Ooh.
I've never heard a better sign off than, I have to go to bed. I have a test in the morning. So we dragged John in to do the boss with us, and of course, first try, boom, done. LFGs. Everybody's got a funny LFG story. We were sitting there, doing British accents, and then very quickly, very bad British accents, I might add, and then we kind of heard the New Zealand accent, and we all thought, oh shit, this guy's British. That was what came up in the group text. Fuck, this guy's British. So we all started apologizing to him, and he's like, mate, I'm from New Zealand. We're like, oh, okay, we don't feel as bad then, but we're still going to stop. But all that aside, it's been a fun week. It's been a fun week in Destiny, going and finishing up some quests.
It is. It has been, dude. It's been such a good week for me playing Destiny. I've played Destiny every night
Yeah.
this week because a Boss Rush is on spring break this week for everything. So I've literally been playing every night. And I mean, I've been playing Iron Banner. I've been trying to catch up on the seasonal story, which I'm totally caught up. Which, by the way, I'm sure we're going to talk about. But
we're going to dive into the seasonal story. Yep.
Yeah. Anyways. But
no,
yeah.
no, I mean, let's just cat's out of the bag. Let's just do it now.
Yeah, what the fuck, Crow?
What the fuck, Crow? That was pretty much the reaction everybody had in the group chat on Tuesday at Reset was what the fuck. Our friend Ray Apollo actually saw everybody's reactions on Twitter before I got into the story. For the week. I've got held up because Reset shenanigans. I was trying to hold Xur hostage, things like that. And yeah, so you go into the seasonal story and you get the last Psyops Battleground. There's only 3 of them. This is by far my favorite one.
You like the moon one?
Oh, I love the moon one. You're going back through you're going Scarlet Keep in reverse, baby. I like it. I'm here for it.
Okay.
I've long said that I don't understand the cosmic significance of the EDZ and the Cosmodrome. So going anywhere that wasn't one of those 2 locations is going to be a win in my book.
Yeah.
I do find it really hard to believe that we didn't get a 4th battleground set in the Throne World. That just these 3 are all we're getting for the season. Next week unlocks Legend mode.
Yeah. I guess.
Okay, how excited did you get, though, when Keitel goes, I'm sending you backup?
I know.
And a Cabal ball drops in. I'm sending a Brachus?
Yeah.
I squealed. I fucking squealed.
That was so cool. Because that's what they showed in the trailer originally, right? Because she was sending backup. And then, the first week we didn't get any. Well,
we didn't get it in the second week either.
Yeah, and so, when we get here, I started shooting the thing. I was like, oh my gosh, we got to take this thing out now. Then I see, the little Destiny logo above him, which indicates that he's a good guy. I'm like, oh,
dude,
awesome.
I was just waiting for the Avengers theme to kick in. That's all I was waiting for when she said that. I was like, yes, this is awesome. More missions like this where we get NPCs coming in, even if it's just some generic, oh, I'm sending a Vandal squad to assist you, or we're dropping a Brachus in. And it's like, hell yeah, let me put on Grand Overture real fast. Let's show them let's give them the business. Come on. This is great.
Yeah, dude, it was so cool. I loved it.
I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna hate it on Legend because, man, getting those witches and crystals down on Legend is gonna be an experience. But no, really enjoy it. You go through the storyline and you get Saladin doing the callouts to Crow, and where is he? Where is he? Where is he? You kind of get this feeling like, ah, shit, he's doing something dumb.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, you go back to the tower, and it's made even worse when you go back to the tower. We're gonna read Crow's lore for this week. As long as it pulls up, it may not actually be on Ishtar Collective yet, since it's a spoiler.
Yeah.
But Crow's lore this week is so good in the lore book because it gives some rationale to his decision. He has killed the Scion, and you're led to believe, oh, he probably shot him right in the head. It's actually way more tragic than that.
Yeah.
You read Crow's lore piece from the book this week, and man, the narration that he gives is that he went in there because he just wanted to talk to the Scion, be like, hey man, this isn't kosher, this isn't cool. We got to do something about this. The Vanguard Code of Ethics explicitly prohibits this, and Zavala's over here just breaking all the rules. You got to be better than this if you want to live in the tower. Let's go get some ramen. That's actually not a joke. He actually did want to ask him to go get a bowl of ramen with him, which I find really touching because that's Crow's whole thing now, apparently.
Is it?
He's taken everything else from Cade, including his life. He might as well take the ramen joint, too.
Yeah.
And he goes to disconnect the machine, and the last thing he hears as the Scion dies is the Scion screaming into his mind, stop. And it's basically traumatic when he disconnects the Scion because he's hearing the screaming as the Scion dies. It kills the Scion instantly. It fries his brain.
Right. Yeah.
And that's when Crow crumples to the ground and we come in.
Yeah.
Fucking wild. That's not even the wildest thing,
I know. It's the part that happens after.
It's the part that happens after. You get another cutscene in the tower, and I really hope that this becomes a recurring thing, that we get real cutscenes to like bookend major happenings in the universe, because having to go actually manually activate the cutscene was so nice, and I can do it at my own pace rather than having it play like when I have to like get up and like answer the door, or like when people got you got crying kids in the background or something, or you got a fire team that won't shut the fuck up. You can actually enjoy the cutscene. It's this whole showdown in the tower. Zavala is ready to throw hands with Keitel, man. You see those fists of havoc charging.
Yeah.
And Crow's basically like, yeah, I'm ready to die. I'm ready to die. And Saladin steps in front of him and goes, no, you take my life instead. And Keitel rewards that. Mm-hmm. She rewards that, like, we honor bravery in the face of certain death.
Right.
You will serve out the rest of your days on my war council. And just see, Cabal live a really fucking long time, by the way.
I know. Like,
really long.
Yeah.
And Saladin's immortal. So he's basically like, okay, done. And she goes, this day forward, you will be known as Brachus Forge.
It's such a cool name, dude.
It's so cool.
So Saladin is not only like the last Iron Lord, well, second, whatever, last Iron Lord, but he's also a Brachus now.
Brachus Forge. And then they take it a step further. They make this even better. He tells you in the little transmission afterwards, his final video message to you as he says it, which, spoiler alert, totally not his final one. He's going to lead the Cabal army into battle in Lightfall or in the final shape.
Oh, yeah.
Which is going to be dope as fuck if he charges in.
Yeah.
He basically charges you with watching after Crow. It seems like the seasonal storylines are going to continue to focus on Crow.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is the 5th season in a row that he's been a main character.
Yeah.
Or a major player in it.
Yeah.
I guess Splicer, he kind of took a little bit of a backseat, but he had a lot of like lore development during that time.
Yeah.
So when he goes to work on Keitel's ship, things like that.
Yeah.
And so Saladin, basically charges you with, basically being, the next Iron Lord. It says he's still going to host the Iron Banner. Yeah. That he told Keitel she'd have to kill him before he stopped hosting it. And I think most of us were going, no, please, feel free to not host Iron Banner anymore. It's okay, Saladin. It's okay.
But then, but what about that whole year with Rise of Iron where Ephrodite hosted it?
I know, right? And so that happens, and I'm like, oh, are we gonna get Ephrodite back? And then Saladin says just the best thing. She seemed unbothered by me continuing to host Iron Banner, but she has some ideas of her own. And I'm so excited because they made the Iron Banner changes coming next season canonical.
Yeah.
That's so great. Like I hope it's like a Cabal themed set of armor now.
That'd be awesome. What if it's like Cabal mixed with like old school Iron Banner, like with the wolves? Dude. Cabal mixed with wolves.
So I'm gonna take that a step further. Oh, dude, what if instead of the wolves, it's like war beasts?
Yeah.
It's the Cabal War Beasts. How cool would that be? We already got a Scion set this season.
Yeah, we did.
But I'm thinking here. So the paste bin, we all remember the paste bin from last summer. Mm-hmm. Almost entirely accurate, like 85% accurate at this point. There's one major thing in there that has not been addressed yet, and that was an Iron Lord's Triumph seal that will be re-earnable every season, similar to Unbroken and Dredgen and Deadeye.
Mm-hmm.
And Conqueror. I should throw in Conqueror also. And what if we get a quest, an exotic quest next season with the revamp of Iron Banner, and we get the Hammer of Proving finally? as our exotic.
That'd be cool.
Because it's a Cabal themed weapon.
It's true.
You give me that or the synaptic spear. No, make the synaptic spear the hunter arc super. I'm just saying, like we need something DPS worthy.
Yeah.
There's so many things you can do here, though. I'm really excited to see what happens, especially if it's just like Iron Banner. It alternates between being kind of fun and then just being an absolute slog to get through.
I gotta tell you, like I actually had a lot of fun last night playing by myself. I mean, it was dumb.
The freelance playlist has been a revelation.
Yeah. But it was fun. Although I hate the armor set. Like the weird underwater.
It's pretty
type
bad.
Yeah, it's really
pretty bad.
ugly.
By the time we get a new Iron Banner set, it'll have been, believe it or not, almost 9 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, God, that 6-month season really threw everything off. Like, it sounds worse than it is. Like, oh, we just got it last season, but it's like, no.
Yeah. No,
that was 7 months ago. We're ready for a new set of armor.
I hate this set. So like the Warlock set looks okay, but like, God, dude, the Titan set hasn't been cool since like the Destiny 1 like Knight kind of looking one. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I can't share your sadness.
Yeah, I know, but but look, that's been a complaint of mine since Destiny 2 launched. Pretty much is like a lot of the Titan stuff just kind of, it's just not doing it for me. You know, I'm not gonna say it looks ugly because I get some people like certain things.
It's pretty bad.
But give me a helmet, man. You know what helmet I'm rocking besides the helm of Saint 14? The Dreamscape one, the astronaut one from Shadowkeep. Okay, that's my alternate helmet right now. So that's what you got. And like I'm not gonna sit there and like grind for the transmog crap. Okay, I just don't have time. I got other shit.
Those bounties are easy, man. Always have them in your inventory. You'll get them done just by playing organically. I have to ask, did you catch at the end of Saladin's final video message? He says, I left a gift for Crow in the helm. Mm-hmm. Will you help him find it? If he's smart, he'll know what it means and take it seriously. Mm-hmm. If you approach the war table after hearing that, Saladin's axe and his Iron Banner medallion are leaning up against the side of the war table.
Oh, are they?
Yep.
Wow.
I'm taking that to mean that that's what he left for Crow.
Yeah.
Just like, oh my God. I can't. This season has made me fall in love with Saladin as a character. Mm-hmm. Like, I was describing this to Johnny the other day. Saladin was always a cool character in theory, but I was never as I've told y'all, I've always been lukewarm on Rise of Iron. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that expansion really did a great job at fleshing Saladin out anyways. I think his best stuff has always come from the lore. Mm-hmm. And really, it's been over the last year that they've built him up in the lore. Like, in an interesting way other than just like, meat puppet.
Yeah, especially like this last, like, kind of couple weeks with, you know, him visiting the town and giving his medal to the girl. Like, that story was really cool.
Well, I would encourage anybody who enjoyed that cutscene to there's a new mechanic in the battlegrounds now, which is kill the light bearer. Mm-hmm. In that opening section. And as you kill certain amounts of them, you will unlock pages of a Saladin centric lore book called Acts of Mercy. Mm-hmm. And the one that I unlocked the third page this week, and it is a story about Saladin and Fellwinter. So I would encourage everybody to unlock those, you know, listen to the audio messages in the helm. There is one that unlocks this week that is between Saladin and Crow.
Cool.
Or Saladin and Crows, or Zavala and Crow. It's one of the two, but it's a really good, really, really good thing. But Saladin essentially says he did this to protect Crow because Zavala was ready to throw away an entire alliance with the Cabal just to protect Crow. And I think what Saladin says to Crow is so important. He says, you know, like, you are being tortured with the memories of Uldren. Uldren died. You do not die today. This is not your final end. Mm-hmm. And this is a man who he's weary. He's one of the very first Guardians. He has seen some fucked up shit.
Yeah.
And as we got from the cut scene with him in the village with the girl, and he's seen all his friends get killed. He lives on his own on a mountain. I'd be a little bit pissed off too, I think, if I couldn't just pop over to the tower whenever I felt like. He can come once a month,
Mm-hmm.
But him and Zavala have never really seen eye to eye. They haven't, in decades. And then this, ironically, repairs that trust, I think. Like, fully. I think Zavala fully trusts him now. So it's kind of a heartbreaking end. I love that the seasonal story, though, well, at least this major plot line. We're going to get to the other plot line here in a little bit when we talk about the Vox Obscura mission. But one of the major storylines of the season is already concluded. The actual seasonal narrative as it relates to Triumphs is done. And that's great. I'm happy that it's over within the first few weeks because it's meant to run concurrent with the expansion.
Right.
And they know, like, oh, you're doing the raid. You're doing Altars of Reflection. You're doing Wellspring runs. You're into crafting. You're causing Imaru a lot of problems on the throne world. You're hanging out with Finch, hookers and blow with Finch. I don't know. Like, you're doing all sorts of crazy stuff back there in the cave with the Lucian Moths. There's so many things to do, and I think they realized, like, okay, nobody really wants to play seasonal content. They want to play the expansion content. And now I kind of find myself in that position of I've been doing it all concurrently, like, man, I'm ready to go on vacation so I can have a breather. But I think this instantly has to be considered the best season we've gotten with an expansion, bar none.
Yeah, like a launch season.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
To put this in perspective, our launch seasons have been Season of the Outlaw, which, by the way, that's before they were doing anything for seasons, so that doesn't even really count.
Right.
Season of the Undying, which basically has had no point to this point. We fought the Undying Mind, but couldn't get the strike back for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And then Season of the Hunt. Who wants to go do Wrathborn hunts? I'll instantly take the 3 Psyops battlegrounds.
Oh, yeah.
And the great story with Keitel and Saladin and Crow over that.
Yeah.
Like, as good as the lore was and the storyline was that season, Harbinger and Hawkmoon and all that, the actual, like, event and leveling up and the lure, like, all that sucked. This is significantly better. There's no leveling up any sort of thing in my quest inventory that makes it automatically a win. And starting next week, when you do the seasonal challenge that's related to the week, you'll get 2 insights instead of 1.
Right.
This is the first week you can buy the guaranteed upgrade where you can get insight drop, guaranteed every single weapon decryption, first weapon decryption of the week at the war table.
Right.
Which, if you're like me and you just have god-awful RNG luck, you've never seen a red border seasonal weapon. And then I suddenly started just having, like, an overflow of Sweet Sorrows, which is the only... That and Peace of Mind are the 2 I really want to do like that, so...
Man. I'm sorry,
but
man.
let's... No, you know what? It is what it is. I think that, deep sight drops are definitely something like... I really hope Bungie's listening to the feedback on those, because... Mm-hmm. Even with the Wellspring patch, it's just been so annoying. I need 2 more Red Border snipers to drop. So I'm probably going to grind after we finish recording this, since it's sniper day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm done. I don't have to get anything else from Wellspring other than my 4 master runs to get the ship. And I've basically got the seal complete at that point. The Witch Queen seal is going to be done.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be done after that. So I'm looking forward to doing that, and then, kind of like pulling back in the month of April to get back to everything I've missed, aka Tunic and Elden Ring.
Yeah.
I
hear
before we
Tunic's
launch
pretty
into
good.
the summer. Tunic's incredible. Yeah, side note, Tunic's incredible. If you didn't play the demo for Summer Game Fest last year, man, Tunic it's awesome. It feels like Link's Awakening meets Death's Door, with a little bit of Souls sprinkled in.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's brutal at times. It is unforgiving. But it's also really cool. Like, this was made by one guy over 7 years.
Yeah.
Incredible game. But Corey, let's put a pin
Pin.
in the story talk. We are going to come back to it. We're going to come back to the storylines. Let's knock out the small twab that we have this week.
Let's do it.
Let's move into the news real fast.
News
thank God
twab. This is
there's
tiny.
Not a whole lot. Yeah, it's tiny, but it's important.
I only scrolled my wheel one time, so you know it's tiny.
So we have a calendar here where people are talking about, Bungie is telling us what's happening every week from now through the end of the season. So, for example, next week we are going to get Vow of the Disciple challenges and Legend Battlegrounds are going to drop. April 1st is going to be our first Trials Labs of the season with Zone Capture. Grandmasters will drop on April 5th. Freelance Trials Labs on April 8th. Vow of the Disciple Master Difficulty on April 19th. Guardian Games comes back from May 3rd to the 24th. The absolute worst event in Destiny is back, ladies and gentlemen.
Woo!
Can't wait to see them just give it to the Warlocks so that everybody has won it once before they retire it. That's got to be the whole point of them doing this, right?
Yeah, why does it keep coming back?
Is that like every class gets to win it once and then we're going to retire it because clearly nobody enjoys doing this?
Yeah, no. Yeah.
And then May 6th, Trials Labs freelance with the community voted map that we're going to be able to vote on here in a few weeks, as well as on the 20th, the final trials of the season will be another labs with freelance and zone capture. So I look forward to doing that. They say stay tuned to the Next Week in Destiny banner within the game and keep an eye on the Twitter account for future announcements. Who knows, maybe we'll have a few Bungie bounties and community playdates to look forward to in April and May.
Cool.
But that's not what we're here for. We're not here for a calendar. What are we, retirees in Florida wearing that brown raid jacket?
Did you, by the way, side note, did you see that joke going around about Tom Brady, how he's the only person that moves to Florida to unretire?
I did. It's pretty great. I got some satisfaction. We can't talk about the NFL. Corey and I are going to get sad.
Yeah, I'm going to get real upset.
So let's move into another topic that's going to make us upset. Weapon crafting.
Not as upset as I am at the Browns right now. That's okay.
Oh, man. Since the launch of the Witch Queen, we've been watching some feedback on crafting currencies required for specific traits. One piece of feedback in particular deals with crafting element caps, and some players have been maxing out their elements frequently. Starting Tuesday with hotfix 4.0.0.4, we'll be increasing element caps from 250 to 1,000, and for neutral element, the cap will be moved from 8,500 to 10,000. Next season, here's the big one for me. This is why I'm really excited here. Next season, we're removing ruinous, adroit, mutable, drowned, and energetic elements. Only neutral element will remain. Our initial goal for the currency was to sustain the interest in non-crafted weapon drops and to retain the chase of weapons with well-rolled perks in a post-crafting Destiny 2. The desire was that the player would continually chase for combinations such as Subsistence plus Rampage to fuel their crafting progression through deep sight weapon completion. While not the only reasons we're removing specific currencies, there were two design changes pre-launch which made elements ineffectual. Number one, we initially had a currency per trait perk, e.g. to craft with Rampage, you needed a weapon with Rampage. However, due to technical and usability issues, too many currencies to track, for example, we opted to heavily simplify the element currencies to the handful we shipped at launch. This unfortunately resulted in a decreased interest in chasing a specific trait perk element. Ascendant Alloys, the exotic quality crafting material that can be found through high-end content or purchased from Rahul, made the remaining condensed elements obsolete. The Ascendant Alloy currency was added after we'd already condensed the elements and we were unable to resolve the experiential issues between these two currencies prior to launch. Specific elements such as Ruinous and Adroit became redundant and in some cases in conflict with Ascendant Alloys and neutral elements, so we're removing them altogether. We've also been watching the player conversation and keeping tabs on back-end data. We don't have specifics to share on future changes. We did want to note areas that we're looking at. Looking to add more player control over deep sight weapon unlocking of weapon patterns. Thank fucking God. Continuing to monitor deep sight weapon stockpiling, acquisition rates and progression, as well as resonant alloy acquisition rates and behavior. Thank God. We're also discussing feedback around reshaping costs for those who wish to experiment more frequency with their trait selection. Thank God. All of this is good. So let's that's basically the TWAB here. Let's talk about this for a minute, Corey.
Okay.
So, removing redundant currencies, great. Okay, that's one of the issues you're running into is if you're full up on everything, including neutral element and all these alloys, if you extract something from a weapon pattern, it will not give you progress towards a pattern if you're full up on everything that weapon has to offer you.
Right.
And that's a huge problem when it comes to things like raid weapons, right? So like I'm still going to be cautious with mine, even though I know everything's going to be pulled out next season, and they're already telling us that. I will likely be like locking these and throwing them into my vault just to be safe. Because I'm not doing a whole lot of crafting right now. To be completely frank, I'm not doing a ton of crafting, and it's because of the caps. The caps have been a big thing, but also like I'm still having really great luck with my rolls dropping. And I haven't really felt the need to go do a lot of enhanced. The only thing I've done enhanced perk on that I've noticed a difference on is impulse amplifier on the glaive.
Yeah.
On the Enigma glaive, I guess I should clarify now that there's multiple glaives in the game. But more control over unlocking of weapon patterns is something that, I mean, I've literally been begging for since day one. I cannot tell you how often I get a red bordered weapon and I get really excited to see it's a red border, and then I look at it, oh, it's not a craftable weapon. And I just instantly am bummed out.
Yeah.
I'm sure that those same weapons will be added eventually. Like, I just can't fathom in what reality, when I get it, it's probably a manpower thing, you know, trying to launch an expansion, trying to make sure weapon crafting even works. And clearly it looks like they had issues. It feels like they had to pull a lot of weapons out because there's only like 4 or 5 of the world drops in there. There's 4 or 5 like Suros and Hake drops total. And then there's all the Throne World weapons, the Wellspring weapons, and the raid weapons that are in there. But the crafting feels bare bones. Oh, and the seasonal weapons, I guess just to say. It feels so bare bones. And I think it's unreasonable to expect everything to be craftable now, but I would expect a better selection personally.
Yeah.
Just kind of it's kind of been a bummer looking at that, because half the weapons I want to craft, you can't craft. I can't go in and craft a funnel web. I can't go in and craft the awesome Stasis Scout Rifle, the 150 Scout that I've been using. Obviously, you can't craft Trials weapons. And I think Trials and Nightfall weapons feel like they're going to be the two that they will never add in here because they want you to keep playing those activities.
Right.
But if I was a betting man, the weapons that you can get from like Drifter or from Shaxx for playing those playlists feel like they will be added eventually. I wouldn't be shocked to see the rest of the world loot pool get added in. Like, let me craft the crate auto rifle, please.
By the way, did you see the roll they were selling yesterday?
I did not.
Oh my gosh. Johnny tweeted it out, and I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta go get that right now. What was it?
I'm running Headstone and Steady Hands on mine.
Hold on, I'm gonna pull up Twitter. You keep going, I'm gonna find it.
You pull it up. I'm gonna keep going. Monitoring deep sight weapon stockpiling, acquisition rates, and progression. As long as they're not like going to start nuking things that we have in our vaults. Like, I've seen so many people say, like, oh, my vault's getting full because I have all these deep sight weapons stored up. I'm like, holy shit, how many weapons are you guys crafting at a time? Like, this is wild. So, like, yeah, reshaping costs definitely need to change if you're stockpiling that much shit. Like, I've had a problem with just chucking things into my vault because the entire loot pool is basically brand new now. And I'm like, I'm trying to keep my weapons that I can no longer get. But let me tell you, the second that they add things like Chroma Rush to this crafting table or Threaded Needle, I'm deleting like everything I have outside of like my singular God roll. And if I want another roll, I'll craft it. That's just like how it's going to be, frankly. Like, but I find like leveling up weapons to be like kind of tedious too. Like, you got to get pretty high up on some of those weapons to get like the perks, let alone to get the enhanced perks. Like, I need enhanced perks to feel better than they do now.
Yeah.
Frankly, like, I need and like, I think mementos should drop a little more frequently than they have been in Gambit. I think it looks really cool. Like, it applies, you know, basically a special shader to it. It gives your weapon a title, which I think is neat. And I look really forward to seeing like what kind of mementos they put in Grandmasters, in the raids, and dungeons. Hell, even in Iron Banner and Crucible eventually. Like, we know there's a Trials one too. It's just glitched out. I want to see all of that because I think that's a fun way to show off. This is an activity that I really enjoy on one of my favorite weapons because mementos are a one-use thing. I think that's cool because that way you can't have like an entire suite of Trials weapons, Trials mementos. But if you do have that, then holy shit, this guy plays a lot of Trials. He must be like really good at it.
Right.
Conversely, if I see somebody with more than one Gamut memento, I'm going to be like, good God, please seek help. Seek help, please. You got that roll pulled up for us, Corey?
I do. It's subsistence and headstone.
Yeah. Definitely good. Headstone on everything, man. I'm rocking it on that on the Hakkei scout rifle right now.
Mm-hmm.
I got that with perpetual motion.
Yeah,
man, I had that in Galley. I was soloing Legend Lost Sectors. It felt great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have that scout rifle. I have headstone and compulsive reloader on mine.
Man, so I that was the role I had initially. Compulsive reloader, I have yet to get it on a gun that actually reloads even remotely fast.
Yeah.
Which feels counterintuitive. It's a great perk for people like me, who I habitually reload like all the time. After I kill like 2 enemies, I'm like, yes, I'm ready to jam that reload button because I've played Halo too much in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, see, if they did that in Halo, I'd be a god.
Yeah.
But in here, it feels like one of those, like, okay, like maybe if I'm playing momentum control, I'll use it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna need it to be on like a fast reload weapon, as it is like a scout rifle. Like, give me a Night Watch with that, and I'll be all over it.
Yeah. Yeah. I also got Sweet Sorrow with Vorpal and Killing Wind on it.
Sweet Sorrow is probably one of my, and I'm going to address this on the weapons pod. I told John he needs to bring his 5 favorite weapons. Sweet Sorrow is absolutely in my top 5 right now. It's an Arc Chroma Rush.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. I'm running triple tap and oh god, I have triple tap and something else on. I'm completely blanking out. But I've been playing with a couple different roles. I really, really, really enjoy that one, though. It just absolutely shreds through rank and file enemies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was running that with, God, this is going to make John cringe. I was running that with Outbreak in parts of the raid. Because it was just, man, if I was on ad clear, bam, those 2 weapons and a rocket launcher, just wiping the floor with the enemies.
Yeah.
It feels pretty good.
Yeah.
And then I like hearing that they want to adjust the kind of the final thought here. They're addressing resonant alloy acquisition rates and behavior, because I've heard horror stories of people running the weekly story like 15 times in a row and only getting like 1 alloy out of all of that, whereas like their teammates are getting them every single run.
Yeah.
That's kind of a worst case scenario, I think. Like, I think resonant alloys need to be added to every vendor's reset, and I think every time you reset said vendor, you should get one.
Yeah.
In addition to the exotic Ingram you get, because you don't get an Ascendant shard every time. You should get the exotic Ingram and a resonant alloy every time you reset a vendor. That is enough of a grind that I feel like I can say that. Because realistically, who is resetting their reputations more than a couple times a season?
Right.
I don't think you're going to have to worry about people stockpiling, especially if you're going to go back and revamp how perks are done. I don't think you have to worry about it too much.
Right. Well.
So, any final thoughts on crafting before we boogie on back to some story stuff?
Nope, let's do it.
All right.
Woo!
I actually should really clarify here to make sure there's like nothing else here. I'm sitting here talking all this shit. Nope, nothing else. So we're good. The main topic we wanted to talk about tonight is we want to talk exotic quest. Like, what makes a good exotic quest and what can ruin a good exotic quest. So the kind of genesis for me wanting to talk about this came from running the master version of the Vox Obscura mission.
Mm-hmm.
And now, Corey, have you done the base Vox Obscura?
No, I tried to run it the other night, and then my kids started crying, and it was really difficult. And by the time I got done, I was like, it
is brutal by yourself. That is definitely something you have to do with the fire team. Mm-hmm. It's a high level activity.
Yeah, I didn't realize it. I just saw that I had a mission open. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go do it real quick, and then I was like, oh well, nope, not doing this quick by myself.
And you're on a timer.
Yeah.
You're on a timer also. You have 5 minutes to do that first section. And that means you have to drop the tank in your first section, and then you have to get to the other section, kill 2 more tanks, drop all 3 towers, and then your timer stops.
Yeah, which is
so
like crazy.
I've kind of got it down to a science with Nerd and Colonel. When we've got it down, we usually have about a minute left, things like that. The interceptors suck. You have to have the Drake, and there's only one Drake. So that means everybody else has to rely on supers and on heavy, and that's easier said than done when you got champions running around. It's weird enough on normal. On master difficulty, though, let me paint you a picture. The champions are, of course, beefier, and there's a lot more. The interceptors one-shot you. The Scion snipers one-shot you. The turrets one-shot you. You're still on the same ridiculous timer. The tanks are beefier. The only way that we made it to the checkpoint was by cheesing. So we put on linear fusions and shot the tank from the valley, and as soon as it was blowing up, we sparrowed into the next area, and it despawned everything. So we destroyed the 3 towers and then got everybody in position. And as soon as you inch back, as soon as you touch that canyon, everything spawns in because you're still on a timer. Right. As soon as you drop the 2 tanks, you can die because the darkness zone goes away, and so does the timer.
Right.
You can take your time going through everything. Once you get into the building, your timer starts again, darkness zone again. There are, in this mission, no less than 30 champions.
What?
I guarantee you, there are no less than 30 champions. There's one in every room of the inside building. There's about 4 or 5 of them outside. There were 3 on one platform.
What?
There were 3 barriers on one platform, and they're all Colossuses.
What?
Every single champion is a Colossus in here.
Oh my god.
It is just one of the most unpleasant experience. It took a mission that I actually thought was really cool because you're back. It's Destiny 1 Mars. It's like an espionage mission at first. You're infiltrating this base and destroying it from inside. And there's Callus lore. There's a dope exotic grenade launcher there. And then the master version just kind of ruins it. And I think part of the reason that we loved Presage as much as we did versus Harbinger was Presage didn't have fucking champions. That's what I keep coming back to. Presage was a decently challenging activity on regular at first and then on master, and it had no champions, and it was still plenty challenging. It was still plenty fun. We wanted to go rerun this mission to get the lore. I have like no desire to go do the master version now because it's so brutal.
Yeah.
And not in a fun way. Like, there are more champions in there. There's easily more champions there than there are in the raid. There's more there than in some Grandmasters that I've done in my life. And I'm not on as strict of a timer in a Grandmaster as I am on this mission.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, and it just makes it unenjoyable. And I think this highlights something that I was really trying to drive home about the Legendary campaign is they found a way to make it challenging without champions. And I really, really, really hope that Bungie keeps taking that feedback that we gave on that and on Presage and moves forward with, because adding champions in doesn't do anything other than force you to use certain weapons. And that's not, you can't bill yourself as a play it your way game with your weapons however you want and then put in that kind of bullshit where only 2 or 3 weapon types will work a season.
Right. Because then you gotta equip the right mods and then you have to equip the weapons that go with the right mods, and it's just
I'm less bothered by the mods. Like, if it was like I don't know, like, these weapons are always anti-barrier, these are always overall, these are always unstoppable, I'd be fine.
I wish they would let you craft mods, and I know that's kind of like not what they want to do with the artifacts and stuff, but I think that would be like really interesting to, like, especially if you want to promote this as a play the game your way, right? Like, that seems like something that would be really cool to add to the game.
It just feels like something that I just keep coming back to. I think that champions are awful.
Yeah.
I've been saying it since Shadowkeep came out. I never really understood what champions added to it. I know that there are some sadists out there like John who enjoy champions.
Well, we all know John's crazy, so it's fine.
I mean, yeah, we love you, John, but you're nuts. Like I don't mind having a challenge, and I don't want this to be misconstrued as, oh, he doesn't like a challenge. I actually really like the challenge of things like Master Presage, of figuring out a raid on weekend one, of doing the occasional GM, and of doing the legendary campaign. I like the scaling difficulty factor of the legendary campaign too, and I get it's not feasible to implement that probably for every single activity, but I think the champions just, when I see that champions are in high-end content, and it's something with match game, it's all like match game is already bad enough, and then you're adding champions in, that just makes me not want to engage at all.
Yeah.
When I'm having to cheese them, when some of the best players I've seen in this game are having to cheese it to do it, that's a pretty damning indictment of the challenge of your mission.
Yeah.
When it's required for things, and I get it, like seasonal titles have been really easy to earn for a really long time. Getting a title should not be a waltz in the park. With all that in mind, I brought, I think, about 12 exotic missions to the table that I wanted to rank them. Just like John and I ranked the D2 raids the other night, I thought it would be fun to kind of reflect back on some of the exotic quests we've done over the years, and just how far we've come since some of the original special exotic missions. So the list I provided to Corey that I wanted to go over and that we're going to rank are Parasite, Salvation's Grasp. We're calling them by the weapon names, but you guys will know what we're talking about. If it's a weapon, it's in both. We'll clarify which game we're talking about. Whisper of the Worm, 0 Hour for Outbreak Perfected, the Black Spindle mission in Destiny 1, Divinity, Presage for the Dead Man's Tale, Harbinger for Hawkmoon, the OG Sleeper Stimulant quest in Destiny 1, Vox Obscura, the Ace of Spades in Destiny 2, and Bad Juju in Destiny 2. So we're going to start it like we always do. Let's start at the bottom.
Okay.
Let's start with your least favorite of these.
Man, I think I think Salvation's Graps was pretty weak. It wasn't really challenging, I think, from my point of view, right?
Yeah. So I would say, I guess, and it's totally subjective. But like based on like, the mission, I guess any storyline associated with it. The weapon itself, like, kind of okay, because if we're doing this by weapon, Salvation's Grasp has to be the bottom one, and I think this is probably my second to bottom. As much as I love Ghost impersonating Drifter, I do agree that this is an overall weak storyline.
Yeah, no, that's like the one redeeming quality of it, right? Is like Ghost impersonating Drifter was hilarious. That whole mission. I actually died because I was laughing. I'm gonna make this my bottom one too. I'm gonna make this my bottom one as well. Yeah, I was actually laughing, and I died while Ghost was impersonating Drifter on this mission. So, because I didn't jump correctly because I was like laughing, and so I just missed a jump and I died. But
I've got this at the bottom as well. For all the reasons you just said, it's a fun story. Like, it's a fun little mission, but it ultimately serves almost no purpose. Like, that was our first stasis weapon. Let that sink in for a minute.
Yeah,
that was the only stasis weapon we had for about 9 months.
Yeah, until what? Peace Bond, right?
Peace Bond. We had a whole suite last season. We had that, the Volpeka hand cannon.
Right,
I want to say the shotgun. Yeah, no. This was our only one for quite a while. Yeah,
and guess where it went? In my vault.
All right. I think above on this list, the next one up, you almost have to go Bad Juju from Destiny 2.
Yeah, I had thought about making that last actually for a little bit.
I really did too, and then you reminded me about just how much I don't like. Salvation's Grasp would not be on here if it wasn't for Ghost and Drifter.
Yeah.
This is just, it's bad. It's real bad. I think going into the Ascendant plane was cool, but other than that, like, that was something we'd done a million times already that year. And it's just like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool weapon, but don't really care too much about the quest. That was when I was really feeling like the grind of Destiny weighing on me. For example, I didn't really bother to ever do the Catalyst or anything. I was just done.
Yeah. I got the bad juju catalyst drop in the world the other day, by the way.
I got the drop quite a while back. I just finally finished it. I sat down and did it right before the Witch Queen came out.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Next, this is where it starts getting difficult for me because I think everything's good. I would say Ace of Spades goes above this for me. I think Ace of Spades goes into that 10th slot. And that's mainly because I think everything you have to do leading up to it is just a slog.
Yeah.
The actual mission on Titan is cool for the audio logs, but otherwise it's just, like, obnoxious.
Yeah, I agree. I think I agree with you. I think, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like, we're still seeing that mission play dividends, right? But I don't...
Yeah, but, I mean, the slog of the mission is, like, what killed it for me.
Yeah, it definitely
especially because like I'm
me.
Not great with hand cannons.
Yep, so. Absolutely agree. Speaking of not being good with hand cannons, I put Harbinger above this. And now I want to be clear. I think Harbinger is an exceptionally well done quest, but it goes back to my theory, my philosophy of I fucking hate champions.
Mm-hmm.
Champions are awful. Why are there champions in here?
Yeah,
I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's a cool storyline, I think, but I think the meat of the storyline really comes from when you're getting Hawkmoon initially,
mm-hmm.
or when you're getting Crow's ship. Like, that's kind of the meat of the storyline for me. It's not really the actual mission itself.
Yeah.
Design-wise, it was cool to like go back to the water treatment area of the EDZ where we do Lake of Shadows, and then make the jump to wherever it is up in the northern part of the EDZ.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was cool. The whole rotating boss thing was a good idea. But you talk about things that were tedious on Master. This was one of those. I did not do it any more than I had to.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
It just wasn't cool.
I got the role that I wanted. I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah, that's about how I felt. I would do it occasionally to get another powerful.
Yeah,
if I think really needed them for like pre-raid.
Yeah, I think I ran it one more time before it went away with Mitch and our friend Jeff ran it because we wanted to show him what the mission was, but man, it was not. Pass.
Definitely pass. Speaking of missions that I don't like artificial difficulty on, Vox Obscura has to go right above this. The master version of this almost drags it down for me, and we haven't seen the full storyline play out from doing this in multiple weeks yet.
Right.
And there's almost certainly going to be something tied to this at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we talk about story content, this is where the other half of the story from Story of the Risen is coming, or Season of the Risen, not Story of the Risen. Season of the Risen is coming from this.
Right.
From, what's the fate of Callus? We get a lot of hints here. It sounds like Callus has become a disciple, things like that. The reward is so good, though.
Yeah.
Like, Dead Messenger is so absurdly good.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's hard light, but it's a wave-frame grenade launcher. So it's definitely more of a support weapon. I wouldn't say it's a finisher weapon, but I could definitely see it being good, especially as Arc and Solar 3.0 come out. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the weapon is not playing into what we think of the mission.
Right.
So...
Yeah, this definitely feels like
the timers kill this for me. It tanks its ranking.
I hate missions with a timer, which like we'll get to it in a little bit. But Outbreak Perfected, I love that mission with a timer, man.
Timer. I don't mind a timer, and I don't even mind a punishing timer. I mind when you have to do shit that you never do in this game, aka use interceptors that are doing like 60 damage. That's not an exaggeration. 60 damage per missile. You're not killing anything like that. Mm-hmm. I can't even kill ads that way. You die before you even get missiles off in master mode.
Right.
It's not fun. I have to stay pretty much permanently invisible with a glaive as a hunter to make it through the mission. Yep. Not fun. Above this is where I think that you and I are going to start to deviate, Corey.
Yeah.
I have the OG Sleeper Stimulant quest here.
Yeah. That quest was that's how we met.
That was, for you who haven't heard it 1.5 million times.
Mm-hmm.
Corey and I met in a Facebook group online. A mutual friend got us into the same Facebook group, solving the puzzle, and figured out. I will note we were one of the earlier groups to do the quest, which was really cool.
Yeah.
But man, that was like the first instance of holy shit, this is something that's like really brutal to figure out. I think that was like the first like ARG thing they did, and it really set the stage for. And I regret not putting it on here, and it's partially because I never actually did the quest myself. Outbreak Prime, Outbreak Prime is not on here.
Yeah, I was wondering why you didn't put that on here.
I also didn't want to put like two of the same weapon on here.
Yeah, but that quest was really different and cool, and like not to go out on a side tangent or anything, but the Outbreak Prime.
We're retroactively putting Outbreak Prime on the list.
Okay, well then.
It's going to be higher up, but we'll put it on there because I know the community aspect of it. It came out at the time when I wasn't playing a lot of Destiny.
Yeah. It came out at a time when like Wrath of the Machine was like it wasn't quite as good as King's Fall, and Rise of Iron wasn't like it was like a holdover expansion right until Destiny 2 came out, and like a lot of people had started to fall off because it just wasn't like a expansion that people really cared about really, except for like when it initially launched, and then like I think we started doing Outbreak Prime because I think Dado and his group were like figuring it out at the time.
It was binary.
Yeah. And it was like they were like, oh well, if you sit here and here, it's like binary code, and it starts unlocking certain things. And then they found out like the big kind of diamond shaped thing in the middle opened up as you would unlock these different binary codes, and it was super cool. Yeah, well,
Outbreak Prime is going to definitely go up higher on this list. I would say Parasite goes next for me.
Yeah, I would put Parasite as well.
I like Parasite a lot. I like the lore that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that quest is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I ran it with Mitch a couple like last week, I think, and like for me, I think I would switch Parasite and OG Sleeper.
Okay.
Where you have them, just because like man, that Sleeper quest was like, I don't know if it was just like I know like we made a lot of friends doing that. It was really a neat community experience, but God, dude, that quest was just kind of like stupid. But like I feel like the Sleeper quest opened the door for stuff like Outbreak Prime. And, you know, obviously it opened the door to what we have today in certain quests. So, like, you know, it was them experimenting on a quest that didn't quite work out, but they perfected later.
For sure. Man, this is where I think above Parasite is where I start going, okay, so for the record, what we have left are Whisper of the Worm, both Outbreaks, Black Spindle, Presage, and Divinity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go... Man, this for me it has to be Outbreak Prime, just because like I never experienced it.
Yeah.
I'll put Outbreak Prime here.
Yeah.
And that should in no way reflect, you know, what everybody thinks of it, and I recognize that laid the foundation for some of the stuff that we've had now, like the Corridors of Time and some of these collector's edition puzzles that we've had. Like this definitely laid this, and Original Sleeper Stimulant really laid the foundation, but I think that we have a better example of a raid exotic later on, and I think that we also have the superior Outbreak quest still to talk about.
Yeah,
personally,
yeah. For me, Divinity is going to go in this slot because I didn't do that quest. Right? I mean, that's how it's going to go. I didn't get to do it. So,
and I like that you said Divinity because Divinity is going to go next on the list for me as well. Up here because it's a cool quest. I think it's the best raid exotic quest that we have. It's one of the only ones that we have. It's probably the only one in D2 now that I think about it. I thought it was so unique though that it was a quest you had to start on the moon and then you had to do stuff throughout the raid. And if you did all the stuff during the raid and got the clear, you were guaranteed the weapon, and it's the best support weapon in the entire game still 2.5 years later.
Yeah.
It's been the best trace rifle in the game since the day it came out.
Yeah.
I think now you could definitely argue that Ager's Scepter is like a 1A, 1B with it.
Yeah.
But there's no support weapon. Even with the resurrection of Tether now, like, get that raw damage onto a Divinity bubble, and it's just crispy damage. Crispy numbers.
Yeah.
easily going for like 300k. I really like that a lot. I think that Divinity Quest is unique. The puzzles, the final puzzle can be very maddening, where you're having to run across the plates, and you have to have a very coordinated group of 6 to do it. I did like that, but I do recognize that also, like, that did some gatekeeping, but also like it guaranteed that you got it.
Yeah.
Which I really like that for raid exotics, especially something as useful as Divinity. I like that there was a guaranteed way to get it. It's like the random roll exotics. I don't want them to show up all the time, but once in a while, I think it's really cool. Like, honestly, I probably would have done a quest to get Vex Mythoclast, is the other exotic. I would have said, yeah, you probably should have done a quest for this one, just because that's such an iconic weapon. Corey, what do you have in this? What do you have in this slot? Where I've got Divinity.
All right, so we're sitting at what, our top 5 here?
I want to say we're at top. Yeah, I think we're at the end of the top 5 because
I actually really like all of the remaining quests that are left, like, a lot. Out of all these, I would just say Whisper, I think, is going to go here.
Okay.
Just because, like, I don't really use sniper rifles. Like, that last room was kind of like a pain in the ass. By no means was it a bad mission or anything, right? It was just
it's in our top 5.
Yeah, I just think out of the remaining missions, like, or the remaining weapons, like, this is the one I used the least. It was the quest I ran the least. It was just kind of annoying to me in certain respects. Especially like the room before the last room where there's all those Taken guys, and it's just like, oh my gosh, just get me out of this room. But yeah, I mean, this is where that's gonna go.
I've got, because Divinity's my number 5. In my number 4 slot, I've got Black Spindle. I think Black Spindle is a really cool quest. It was like one of the original secrets, right? You had to wait for the daily heroic story to come around. Yeah. And when it did, there was you had to do stuff throughout the mission, and then there was this secret door that opened, and you went up and you fought Taken Tanics.
Yeah.
And it was so cool. It was so cool when you went up and did this. And again, you were on a timer.
Yeah, 10-minute timer.
I can tell you many times that we lost, not because we wiped, but because of the timer.
Yeah, 10-minute timer, by the way.
10-minute timer to get through the entire mission and kill the boss. It became like a speed run to see if we could get to the boss with like 6 minutes left, basically.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it was like we were trying to get there with like 5 minutes left, I think.
Yeah. It's absolutely wild when you get there. I think that it was a really cool secret. When you got it, I mean, you would use it occasionally, but that was like kind of the beginning of putting Hive and, you know, worm gods and stuff into weapons. And just the legacy of this game, from Black Hammer to Black Spindle to Whisper of the Worm, is really great to watch, because that's the same gun, just evolved each time.
Yeah.
So what do you got in your number 4 slot, Corey?
I'm gonna put Outbreak Prime's quest there.
Okay.
Okay. It was a lot of fun. It wasn't too difficult, right? I mean, you just had to sit in that room and figure out what the binary code was, right? And it was really neat, but it wasn't. Once you knew what you were looking for, like, it wasn't that challenging. You just had to like have someone read the monitors and tell people where to jump, and like, it was cool. And Outbreak Prime was an awesome weapon, obviously, because Outbreak Perfected, obviously, great, awesome
for sure.
Yeah, it just I think there are 3 missions that are better at this point.
Top 3, the top 3, Corey.
Top 3.
I'm gonna go Whisper of the Worm here. I'm gonna say Whisper of the Worm in my number 3 slot. I love the jumping puzzle in this. As a hunter, it was just really fun to throw on stompies and just yeet myself off the side and basically skip like a minute and a half of the quest.
Yeah.
And just to be able to, you know, jump through the stupid room and on the platforms and everything, like, very quickly, made it fun. I could get in there and start doing damage. I love the nod to the Vault of Glass that's in there. The Vex portal that actually opens up to it. You can see into the vault, and then concurrently from the vault, you can see into the Whisper of the Worm mission in D2.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree that I hate that final room, but I love that you're fighting taken versions of past enemies in there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really great.
Yeah, it's cool.
Especially Urzog being back is just chef's kiss.
Yeah.
That's great. Seeing Urzog as a Taken is fantastic. If you ever farmed the shipyard in the Moth Yards, I guess, in D1, if you were ever a loot caver, you know Urzog well. So I've got this one in my number 3 slot. What do you got here?
I have Black Spindle.
You have Black Spindle. Okay.
I know I just complained about timers like 3 times during this discussion, but that mission, it was such a rush when you finally get it. It's just like, oh my gosh, this is awesome.
Right.
And just making your way through and like pointing out, okay, you got that wizard, I got the one in the middle. All right, you got these yellow bars down here. Let's take them out. It was just a really cool mission, and it really made you, especially the last room, like you had to have the first 2 rooms down to a science, and then when you got to that last room, you really had to be on. And that's something that I think that, like, personally I kind of miss to an extent in Destiny, is just like always being on,
man,
especially like you go from like King's Fall,
mm-hmm.
right, where and I'm just talking about D1 stuff here, where like everybody had to be on, everybody had to be in the right spot, everybody had to know their role, right, and stay alive and have, that kind of thing. And this kind of reminded me of like a bite-sized rush of something like that, where like, okay, you got to go over here, you got tether, you got a bubble, okay, let's go, and
right.
It was just, you have weapons of light on, okay, cool, we need to DPS, it was just one of those kind of missions that was really cool. So
it was great. Like I said, there's a reason why it made my top 5. I do really like the Black Spindle quest,
mm-hmm.
even though I think that we have definitely surpassed it in terms of quality.
Oh yeah.
So our final 2 are the same.
Yeah.
Just, it kind of depends on the order. I got Presage as number 2.
I do too. I have Presage at number 2 as well.
I mean, like I said earlier when I was giving the criticism of Vox on Master, this mission does it all. There's no champions. There's adequate difficulty. It focuses less on enemy ad clearing than it does on puzzle mechanics. Mm-hmm. And the puzzles are never punishing.
No.
Once you figure out the mechanic, the puzzles are not punishing. We were figuring it out night 1. I think it's a really interesting space. The storyline is great. You had a reason to go back and do it at least 2 more times, mm-hmm. not just for the random rolls, but for the storyline that's going on between Foe Cyrus and Keitel. Mm-hmm. You have the captain's log that you're finding, so you have the whole side story of Gilgamesh and the Catabai. It's great. And then you, on top of all of it, you get an exotic primary that's still dominating a year later and people are still complaining about after multiple nerfs. Yep. So you get the old cowboy rifle. Dead Man's is still, I think, one of my favorite just weapons because it's such an undestiny weapon.
Yeah.
And I think for that reason, I enjoy it an awful lot. I think it's great.
Yeah. No, I don't really have much to add. I think the puzzle element of the level is cool, and like when you enter, it gives you like this really horror, like alien vibe to it.
Yeah, it feels like I got Dead Space and Alien mm-hmm. vibes from this.
Yeah, I really thought like
you hear shit moving around in the ceiling.
Yeah, I really thought like something was gonna jump out at us at one point.
Yeah,
like the first time you run it, and then like when you do the harder version of it, you think like, oh, how does it change? Is something really going to be chasing us this whole time? And
oh yeah,
it's just a great mission. I'm really sad it's gone.
I really enjoyed it, but even though it was our favorite piece of content from last year, from Beyond Light, it did not take the number 1 spot here. Instead, 0 Hour took it here. Now you want to talk about master mode bullshit. This mission's got it. The timer, trying to get around to get the things with catalyst, trying to hit all the switches in time. I think the overall mission is just such a blast. Trevor is terrifying.
Trevor's stupid. I hate God. Like, I wish there was a way to deactivate him. You know.
I wish there was at least a master, that there was a way to disable him.
Oh my gosh, what a bitch.
I love that we see Mithrax in the flesh for the first time.
Yeah.
Even though he just looks like a generic captain here. Mithrax shows up, fights alongside. He kills that one guy at the beginning, and then he doesn't show up again until the end, of course.
Yeah. After you kill all the enemies in that
after
room.
We kill everybody else, it finishes out the storyline for the Black Armory, which was really cool. It's we're killing Spider's brother there, who is the same guy that tried to detonate the bomb in Scourge of the Past. He's the same guy who tried to take over the Izanami Forge when we're crafting Izanagi's Burden. It's really cool. I love everything about this mission. It gives you arguably the best primary in D2, especially now with the new buffs and with the catalyst. It's arguably the best primary.
I haven't taken. I don't think I've taken it off a couple times, but like it's my go-to primary at this point.
I'm running it pretty frequently right now in game stuff.
Especially because I got the catalyst too now, and it's like way.
At one point, John and I were doing 15k a bullet in the raid with it, so it's a great weapon all around. Great quest, and definitely hard. Like it fits the definition of being a secret mission. You had to go do all that stuff in the lost sectors and whatnot to even unlock the mission.
Yeah.
Similar to how Whisper. Yeah. We used to have to sit there on the weekends and wait for a specific public event to spawn.
Yeah.
Thank God we don't have to do that anymore. I know a lot of people are jonesing for a secret like that, but I'm actually really happy there's nothing time gated like that anymore.
Yeah, I totally forgot about the outbreak code, like the code boxes you had to find in the lost sectors.
Well, and then like holding we all held onto the data pad for like 2 more years because we were convinced it would do something in the future.
Right.
And we were all afraid to delete it.
Watch, it's gonna do something next year or something, and everybody's gonna be.
Well,
pissed.
they forcibly removed it from our
inventories. Did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
When everything got vaulted with Beyond Light, it got yanked out. But yeah, there you have it. Those are how we would rank the various exotic missions. I could not tell you the order we both put them in. But what do you think about exotic missions in Destiny? Are they too hard? Are they fun enough? Are they unique enough? Are they creative enough? Do you agree with our rankings? Let us know.
Yeah.
But especially curious to hear anybody's thoughts on Vox Obscura on Master, because I'm not vibing with it. I feel like the Magic Johnson meme right now. Like people are gonna want to go do it, and I'm like, I'm not gonna be there. But yeah. Well, that's where we are. Corey, do we have anything else that we want to get to before we head over to the lore corner?
I don't think so, Josh. Let's get into some lore corner.
Let's get in the lore corner. I was going to read the Crow piece from this week to give us some background kind of on what he's doing, but cool. It does not appear that it is in the actual API for Bungie yet. I'm gonna check through the app and see if it's in there. If it is, I'll just read it from my phone, but I have a feeling if it's not on Ishtar, it's not going to be in here either, unfortunately. And I no longer have my Xbox in the office. Yep. So it is still classified in the API. Unfortunately, I can't even read it from my phone.
Oh man.
So we're gonna have to save that for when we come back. Hopefully, it'll be unlocked here in 2 weeks. But it's okay. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do another piece from the same book, from the Quintessence lore book. We're gonna kind of do these out of order as a result. But I want to read this one. We've had some questions about Saint and Osiris. I've had a lot of my friends asking me what's going on with Osiris, what's Saint doing during this storyline, etc. And I think this really provides an interesting insight into that for us, what Saint's daily life is kind of like right now. So let's go ahead and jump into it. It's not something super in depth. I don't think there's a whole lot to break down here, but
that's fine. I like Saint.
I love the lore pieces that we've been getting in the season still, because they're a nice break from the action. It's not like super dense, but it adds so much to the story and kind of hints at future storylines too, I think.
Yeah.
So this is from Quintessence. It's page number 2, Devotion. You brought your own cup? Devrim smiled awkwardly after asking this question. A tea set balanced delicately beside him on the split log he used as a seat. From the other side of the campfire, Saint 14 looked comically oversized as he cradled a blue and white ceramic teacup in one large hand. His helmet was off, set in the dirt beside his feet. A slow smile crept across Saint's mouth as he looked at the cup. Not that I mind, Devrim continued and motioned with his own teacup. It's just, normally people don't come this prepared for afternoon tea. Although yours looks like it's seen a few fights. Though Devrim chuckled, his assessment was accurate. Saint's teacup was chipped around the brim. The handle had been broken off at one point and crudely glued back into place. Saint laughed to himself. It is a memento, he said. The cup is nothing special, just ceramic and paint. But it is the damage that makes it important. He finished his tea and offered the cup out to Devrim, who carefully took it to inspect. I forget where I got it. Sat on the shelf in my home long before Osiris and I lived together, before he was exiled. One day he barges into my home looking for an argument, Saint said, watching Devrim. Osiris. He gets very heated when he is angry. Arms like this. Saint waved his arms around in pantomime. Very animated. Devrim laughed as he handed Saint's teacup back. That sounds about right. We argue, very loud. He accidentally knocks my teacup off shelf, breaks it, Saint said, lowering his voice. The argument stops. We both feel bad. Osiris apologizes. I apologize. Then Saint stares into the fire. Then he touches my cheek. His eyes say things that words cannot. He leaves. I sweep up the shards, and Saint's voice trailed off into nothingness. The amusement left Devrim's eyes as he looked down at the rippling surface of his tea. How is he? It was the question Devrim had been too afraid to ask. Saint's shoulders slouched in response, and that was almost all the reply Devrim needed. Not good, Saint quietly confessed. He is alive, but his body is there, his mind is not. It is like he is on a journey and cannot find his way home. Or... Saint shook his head. He honestly wasn't sure. No one was. Devrim set his teacup down on the log. He rose and crossed the distance to Saint and then laid a hand on the Titan's shoulder. Devrim looked into Saint's vibrant mechanical eyes with sympathy. Mark and I are having Soraya over for dinner tonight, he said with a small hesitant smile. I know it's short notice, but you should come. Saint looked away. I shouldn't. I should be with Osiris in case he... Osiris has many people waiting by his side tonight. He isn't alone. You shouldn't be either. Devrim pressed as he let his hand slip away from Saint's shoulder. Dinner, please. Saint stared down at the chips in his teacup and fell deeper into the memory of that day. He would give anything to be able to live it all over again, to have Osiris by his side, to have something as simple as the touch of a hand on his cheek. But that day isn't today. Okay, Saint whispered, and it may not be tomorrow either. These lore books, like we've said, we talked about Survivor's Epitaph last year with Shax and Mithrax. We talked about Empty Vessel with Saladin and Savathun. We talked about how Savathun was looking through the eyes of the Ahamkara skull above Shax at Zavala, and we get all these side stories in the lore that I think they would feel kind of strange to see, like, afternoon tea play out in Destiny. But in the lore, it makes perfect sense. It makes sense in these lore books that you earn just from doing things in game, just from listening to these messages. Because this is something that I think is important for us to understand where Saint is. When they inevitably bring Osiris back in, you'll have this backstory now if you've gotten engaged in reading these pages and understanding these backgrounds and motivations. I think it'll make those moments all the sweeter. That's very much what happened with the Crow and Saladin resolution this week. Is we knew last season from the Saladin lore that we read and we spent a lot of time on in the fall, that he was mentoring Crow and looking out for him. They were both Zavala's emissaries to the Cabal, and Saladin very much took him under his wing as he once did us. And it, obviously in a much closer way. But it's almost fitting that Devrim is the one talking to him. We know that, this is kind of like meta commentary, I think, in a lot of ways. We know originally they had planned for, in Destiny 2, the writers had for Devrim to be gay. And we know that that was eventually vetoed by Bungie and Activision senior leadership. The game wouldn't be able to release in certain countries. And so they just like kind of made a passing reference to Mark.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone was like, oh my God, great representation, this and that. And it had been hinted for so long. It had become kind of a fan theory that Saint and Osiris were romantically involved. And then they outright confirm it last year or the year before, I can't remember which one, when Saint comes back, and it's like, oh my God, it's this incredible thing. It's this storyline, now we're getting to see evolve.
Yeah, because like the original like intent for Saint and Osiris, like you said, like they were supposed to be together, but then like the lore started referring to them as like a father and son like figures to each other, and then as it progressed, and now we have Saint back, and now they're together obviously now, but like I remember all that, and Devrim that was like a big deal. People were like really happy, and I'm like, I don't remember them ever really saying that except for like that passing.
So I see this very much as like a meta commentary on that in a lot of ways, that Saint and Devrim are the ones having this conversation. It's outright confirming some things that, have been alluded to for a while in the lore. And it's one of those quiet, special moments that we've come to appreciate in the lore, and that I think reflects a change, not just a changing workplace, but a changing industry, that's much more embracive of that. Right. Yeah. I love seeing this. It's great. I mean, in comparison to the other stories that we get in this book, I'm not going to say that they're bad, but I think that that's, for me, that and Crow's Piece are definitely the highlights of the 5 pages in this book so far. Mm-hmm. We've got 4 of the 5 right now. But this and Acts of Mercy, I mean, it's continuing that great deep Saladin lore. I had the feeling the same person keeps writing these lore pages, and I really want to know who it is.
Yeah.
So I can just I would just love to pick their brain. Like, you're doing stuff that probably like 80% of players are never going to see or read, if not more. Mm-hmm. Or they'll only hear about it through a Bife video or through something like, Lore Corner. I think that passages like this are like the key argument for why you should go read the lore. Like, it's one thing if it's like really cryptic, like the Rourke lore from Vow of the Disciple. It's another thing when it's just laid out here for you. And hey, these are characters you're familiar with that you're and that we're going to be building up in these seasons. You just spent, a couple seasons with Saint trying to fix this shit. You saw the legend of the Saint, him and Mithrax becoming buddies. You rescued him in Season of the Dawn. He was part of Season of the Lost. He was there with you as an NPC, popping a permanent bubble for you while you did the exorcism. Like, these are all things that we've wanted to see for so long with these NPCs and with these characters. Right. And when you can flesh them out more in a way that would be really hard to do in an actual FPS, I think that's the most rewarding thing.
Yeah.
That makes those moments so much sweeter when you get the payoff.
Yeah. And you start to care about these characters more. Like I care way more about these characters because of the lore, not because of what you see of them in game.
Right.
I mean, imagine looking at Shaxx or Saladin or even Saint at points. You're like, oh, what's your purpose here? If you didn't know any of the lore,
Right. I mean, they've successfully made me care about other characters. Mm-hmm. Saladin, like, I said earlier today, like, Saladin's a character I didn't really care about until I started reading the lore. I think Mara is another character. When you read the lore, like, you get super invested in Mara's journey. Like, she's already an interesting character, but you learn so much more about her. Drifter, for God's sake. I mean, God, you want to talk about somebody, him and Elsie. You learn so much through the lore books about them and through the supplementary materials. And like, I don't ever want this to turn into a game that like you have to do the reading, but it's like one of those, it's kind of like when we were all in school and, well, you can get away with just or doing the bare minimum and you can get like a B on the assignment. You want to get that A+ on this university paper, you're going to have to do the supplementary readings too. Mm-hmm. That's like the best way I can describe it is this is the non-required reading, but you're going to be happy you did it.
Yeah. It's like the Silmarillion to the Hobbit or the Lord of the Rings, pretty much.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. I mean, this is, I would almost compare it to like J.R.R. Tolkien's Book of Unfinished Tales or, the Histories of Middle Earth. I really think that like the lore books and the Grimoire anthologies really kind of play into that too, the way that they're structured.
Yeah, the Grimoire anthologies are great, by the way.
Oh, I can't wait for number 5 to get announced. But
I know.
Corey, do you have anything else to add on Devrim? It was nice to see Devrim back. We haven't seen him in a long time.
I know.
Kind of forgot that he exists up there in that tower, looking like a hobo.
Yeah, still up there.
Still up there using No Land Beyond.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on him?
Won't come down.
Saint?
Won't go to the tower. Just
nope. He can't even be bothered to go for dude. We have to go to the EDZ to see him. He won't even go there for Saint.
Yeah.
He's making Hawthorne come out there. Dude, she doesn't have a ghost. She can't just teleport there.
Yeah.
Does Hawthorne have a ship? That's my question.
She has that bird.
That fucking bird. I hope we shoot the bird.
I hope
Corey,
that's
get us out here before I commit more violence against NPCs.
I hope that's a storyline. Everybody's losing their ghost. She loses her bird.
The bird comes back as a guardian.
Oh God. No, I'm leaving now. I hate you so much. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening to this episode of Tower Casuals. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Tower Casuals. You can email the show, towercasuals@gmail.com. You can find a new episode every Friday morning. Go check out the raid episode and the last episode that Josh did with A1 Johnny. It was very good. Although I know I've seen most of you have already checked it out. But Josh, where can we find you?
Twitter at Josh_Finn, 2 N's like always.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to add. I'm just over here, moping about my beloved Seahawks and, well, now about a scandal with my Mavericks. So if you don't like sports ball, don't follow me for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about it. I like sports.
It's not great. It's not great, Bob.
Yeah.
But what is great?
What's great?
Going on vacation this week. The Halo series comes out next week.
It's true.
And Moon Knight is less than 2 weeks away, my friends.
Also true.
I'm very ready for it.
Also true. You can find me at I am Corey in HD on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find me complaining about the Browns apparently now. So I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. And we will see you after spring break, Guardians. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.